Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest on the line. We reached out to the brother this morning, but he's reaching back right now. David John. Good morning, brother.
Good morning, brothers.
How's it going?
David, peace, King.
Still treading water. We still got a lot of work to do, in spite of the fact that a lot of people return back to normal life.
Absolutely.
So we had a conversation this morning.
Listen,
we were talking about Halle Berry. And,
Okay.
you know, Halle Berry,
Yes.
you know, she was supposed to play a transgender in the new movie. But after receiving backlash, she decided that she wasn't going to do it and apologize. So we had the conversation this morning about Halle Berry not doing it and, you know, asking people's opinions. So, you know, since you're from the community, we wanted somebody from the community to answer, see what were your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think in the same way that we have applauded actors who have done voices of black folk or straight folks who have otherwise turned down queer roles, this is consistent with that. We should all celebrate Halle Berry, appreciating that diversity matters, that it is still a problem that trans people often are not allowed to play trans characters, or transness is often reduced to singular understandings of gender because we have not moved past this very surface level point in the conversation. And so I'll celebrate Halle Berry, and I hope that we also not only talk about this role and this opportunity, but the fact that 5 black trans women have died in the last week alone. That is a problem, and it's one that we still aren't talking enough about, let alone not doing enough about.
So that's all the more reason that representation matters.
Yeah, and for anybody who is unclear about this, I would really encourage you to take the time and watch the documentary Disclosure. It is a powerful documentary. It's out on Netflix now. It's got a number of a diverse, actually, presentation of people with trans experience, and it helps us to understand that the way that we all have been trained to respond to transness, often to either laugh at a trans body or to be repulsed by a trans body. I don't know if you have all thought about this, but remember the film Ace Ventura, Pet Detective? Nobody might think about it now, and the way that it talks about, in a repulsing way, transness, not transness being repulsing, but the way that they talk about it in the film. But the entire last scene in the film is about him being disgusted, Ace Ventura, the Pet Detective, that he had a romantic encounter with someone who's trans. And it's incredibly vexing because absent that presentation, there might not be trans representation on TV. But when you think about the fact that we have been taught by watching that film, it's a favorite film for a lot of people, that like the way we respond to transness be repulsed. That's something that we've been trained over time, and I'm hoping that people in this moment, when it feels like every day, every week, another black trans woman is dying, while people are literally risking their lives to protest, to demand that we acknowledge that all Black Lives Matter, that this stuff is constructed. These are messages that we've been fed, and we have the opportunity to appreciate that and to think about different messages, to rethink gender, to rethink how we hold space for each other, and in particular that, like, gender is not just your genitalia. I've said it a couple of times, including on this platform. Gender is assigned at birth. And I need for grown-ass boys in particular who are acting like they're men because they have toxic masculinity and issues that they need to work through in therapy, to spend some time with this and to hold space for people for whose their humanity is valuable and should be valued.
All right. You know, David, I got a question.
That's why we needed your expert opinion.
Now, you know, but what about, you know, when some actors like Will Smith played a gay person in a movie? What about when actors play those positions? Do you feel like actors shouldn't play those positions as well?
Equally as problematic. So the two things for me are like, at some point, this becomes challenging because the question is, how do you know that a person is gay unless you've slept with them, right? Which again, at some point we need to evolve past the way that we either talk about this and we're restricted based on language. And again, I watched Will Smith, The 6 Degrees of Separation. It was a powerful portrayal. And it is also the case that there are exceptionally talented actors who are also queer and people of color who could also play that role. My friends and I were having this debate last night. I like Insecure as a black man from Inglewood, California. I appreciate it. If nothing else, the way that they're memorializing South Central LA. I don't understand why they decided to write a gay character and then not have a gay man play him. right? And so it's complicated. It's not that easy. At some point, we should be talking about people being exceptionally talented who are allowed to demonstrate that talent. And it is also the case that representation matters.
But you know what? Even with the case with Will Smith,
because
the reason I asked Will
what's going
Smith
to happen
at the time, Will Smith was
okay.
the biggest actor in the world. So, like you said, to play a character like that was powerful.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't at that time?
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't.
No, that was his first role. That was his first movie role.
Oh, that was his first role, yeah.
It was his first commercial. It was his first commercial role in that regard, right? But that notwithstanding, some of this is about us not allowing people to flourish. Let's to go back to where we were. There's a Glad Media statistic that says that more than 80% of people say that they do not know somebody who is trans. And so most people are introduced to transness via TV. And most storylines around trans identity are about trans folks either doing sex work or being murdered, without the context to help people appreciate why it is that, like, Black trans folks are often forced into sex work. That's not to say that everybody's forced into it. Some people choose to do it. But there are socially constructed conditions, like y'all's president changing laws to deny trans folks access to health care. That shit is intentional. Just 2 weeks ago, the Supreme Court said, based on a Title VII decision, something in civil rights law, that you cannot fire people based on actual or perceived sexual identity, gender orientation, or expression. That's a law that says that today you can't fire somebody. And there are a whole lot of people in this country who don't know shit about that law, or the fact that you shouldn't fire somebody. And it is still legal in so many states in this country to fire somebody, or not to fire somebody, but to deny somebody housing, or to deny them access to public services like gas stations or hospitals or restaurants. These are real-life challenges that make people's lived experiences complicated. And the minimum we can do is allow for diverse representations of people's experiences to exist on screen, such that when people encounter people who are different, that difference is celebrated and not seen as something that needs to be killed or controlled or otherwise met with violence. That is the
absolutely
problem. True. My man, David Johns, we appreciate you.
Well, thank you for checking in, Dave. We tried to get you in earlier, but we figured you were sleeping. But thank you for checking in and calling us back every time we call.
Yeah, no, doing the work again. I would encourage folks to look at our website, nbjc.org. We are trying to chronicle and document as much as we can. But again, in the last week, 5 days, we're just 5 days out since, quote, Pride Month. We've lost 5 of our sisters. One of them, a 17-year-old girl in Arkansas, a Black girl, who was murdered. And there's no fucking excuse for it. Again, not while Black trans women, Black queer folks, all Black folks are talking about our lives matter. All of our lives have to matter, and I hope that we get this right.
All right. Well, thank you, David John. Appreciate you for checking in.
Get a website again, David, because it was like a static.
I appreciate it. nbjc.org, the National Black Justice Coalition. You can also find most of what I'm talking about on our digital platforms, NBJC on the Move.
All right.
My man.
All right. Well, thank you so much for checking in. When we come back, we got the positive note, so don't move. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.